Happy Dragoon Day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Team Forbidden's YouTube page. It is I, Shaddoll the Fanatic, back at you with a new deck profile. Kind of an update, but also kind of a very new deck profile that we're going to do a little bit differently. It's going to have not just... it's not really one archetype. It's a couple of different archetypes that I have mixed together that I kind of splurged a lot of money on, and it still needs a little bit of work, but I think it's good enough that I can showcase it to you today. I call this deck L.S.D. because I am convinced you have to be on some form of drugs in order to dream this stuff up, because I'm one of, I guess, like I saw like a version of this that was similar on the Yu-Gi-Oh card database, trying to see if somebody else had thought of it before I did, but this is mostly an original idea for me. Lair of Shaddoll Dogmatika with Dragoon. Let's get into it. So we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to do this with the engines. So the first engine, Lair of Darkness. 3 Lilith, because it's Lilith. Half the time, you don't even use her for her trap effect, because you're going to summon her off of Tour Guide, which we'll get to in a few moments. But she's a 2,000 monster that can be summoned, normal summoned, and she gets 1,000 attack. And then you contribute her to reveal 3 trap cards, and then you randomly pick one, and that gets set to the field. You do not have to show what trap card you set to your field to your opponent, but you do have to reveal that all 3 of the cards that you are trying to set are traps. Next part of the engine, 3 Arma the Wicked Warden. 9 times out of 10, you're going to use him for the effect to just discard it and add Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand. But you can also tribute him or another dark monster in order to draw a card. If you tribute another dark monster, you can just automatically basically just search for Diabolos. Speaking of, 2 Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. This guy is so good, can't be targeted, can't be tributed. If a dark monster you control is tributed, you can just special summon him from your hand or graveyard, and you can tribute a dark monster that you control to rob your opponent of a card in their hand. Finally, for the Lair engine, we have 2 Tour Guides. This is literally just for summoning Lilith right out of the deck. The tributing for Lilith's effect is cost. So if you have Lair of Darkness out, such as this, been a long time since we've had this on the channel, so basically it turns everything on the field into a dark monster, and once per turn, if you would tribute for the activation of a card effect, you can tribute a dark monster that your opponent controls instead. And then during the end phase, you special summon tokens to the turn player side of the field based on the number of monsters that were tributed that turn. Lastly, for the Lair of Darkness engine, we have 1 Terraforming to search it out, because we need this card on the field as fast as possible, and a Metaverse in order to search it out. Next up, let's get the Dragoon package out of the way. 1 Dark Magician, 1 Red Eyes, now Black Dragon, it's no longer B, a Red Eyes Fusion, and Red Eyes Insight. I tried to get a few more pieces of this engine in here. Technically, if you want to really run a full version of this engine, so you don't have to rely on the Verity Anaconda, you run a couple of Insights with some Fusions, a couple of Dark Magicians, and a couple of Red Eyes Wyverns, because Wyvern can summon Dragoon back from the graveyard if you didn't summon anything during your turn, because it is a Red Eyes monster. So that's an interaction that a couple of people have also noticed. I want to try and find room for the other Red Eyes stuff in here, but let me know what you would take out to put in, like another Red Eyes Insight, another Fusion, and Dark Magician, and a couple of the Red Eyes Wyverns. Next, the only thing we run for the Shaddoll engine in the main deck, 2 Shaddoll Schisms. Why 2? You'll find out in a few moments. Okay, so that's the Shaddolls out of the way. You're wondering, wait, that's it? That's because we use Dogmatikas. 2 Ecclesia. Search any Dogmatika card. You can special summon it from your hand if there's a monster that was special summoned in the extra deck on the field. You can't special summon from all the Dogmatika monsters, basically make it so you can't special summon from the extra deck. And I was trying to do, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I was planning on doing Dogmatika Blue Eyes. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. But I decided, okay, which of my decks have I not done in a while that don't really use the extra deck all that much? Lair came to mind, and I've been wanting to redo Lair for a while. So yeah, this is basically your searcher. Once per turn on both of the effects. This is Dogmatika Fleur de Lis, the Knighted. Basically, it special summons itself if there's a monster special summon from the extra deck on the field, and it has the attack boost effect, and yada yada. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to search for it. Maximus is where the Shaddoll engine comes in. We'll get to that in the extra deck, but you just summon it by banishing a monster that was summoned from the extra deck from your graveyard, a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster. And after that, you send 2 monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard, and you force your opponent to send 2 of their monsters from the extra deck to the graveyard. Lots of stuff in the extra deck that combo off of that. And lastly, if you're wondering why there's so few of them, this card, main search card, banishes you from using the extra deck, searches any Dogmatika from the deck or graveyard. So this recovers them from the graveyard as well. But you can only activate 1 per turn, and usually you're going to search Ecclesia with this. And for the last part of the Dogmatika package, we have 2 punishment. Because you sometimes just need to send the extra deck stuff to the graveyard in order to search your stuff out and blow up the opponent's cards. And that's it for the Dogmatika engine. Last, for some generic cards, Super Poly, because all of them are dark because of the field spell. A Monster Reborn, because we can have nice things. Foolish Burial, because you like to have, you know, that the stuff in the graveyard that you can take out and do the stuff with, because, you know, it's just nice to dump stuff in the graveyard that you can do stuff with later. 3 Infinite Impermanence, because it's the only hand trap that we run, and it's a literal hand trap. And finally, we have 3 Trap Trick. The sole reason this is here is because you might have noticed we have 2 of all the other trap cards. So you just banish the one, set the other. It's basically a 3rd copy of any trap. So you just pick 2 of your trap cards in this every time you resolve Lilith's effect, and you'll always get the trap card you want. As if for the main deck, it's 40 cards. Could probably bump it up a little more. Maybe take the trap tricks out for something else. Again, I'm thinking about just getting the Dragoon engines. Tokens for the Lair. I should probably get more. Put other tokens in here. First off, extra deck. 2 Titaniclad. The Ash Dragon. You're never going to fusion summon this. You're literally only going to send it to the graveyard with a Dogmatika card effect in order to get the special summon during the end phase. 1 Chimera Phlasia to search Super Poly. Starting then Fusion Dragon and Drift of Veridum for the Super Poly targets. 2 Elder Entity Ints for the Dogmatika stuff, so you can pop 2 monsters, pop 2 cards, pop a monster, pop a spell card, or you can just pop something in addition to setting up your engine with Maximus. Next up, here's the Shaddoll engine. El Shaddoll Winda limits you and your opponent's special summoning once per turn. Construct, it's Construct, and App Cologne. You send this with Maximus to the graveyard, and then you search your Schism. This is how you make your Shaddoll fusion plays. That's how you go into these 2. Finally, last fusion monster, the beast itself, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. God, I hate this card. This is the latest episode of Konami. What were you thinking? Fuck off. It's stupid. It should have never been printed. So, can't be destroyed by card effects. Can't be targeted. Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. Can pop monsters that your opponent controls and burn them equal to the number of normal monsters you use for fusion material. That I can deal with. A goddamn Omni Negate, I cannot believe they printed that on this card. What is their problem? What is their deal? This is the 4th episode of this card. No, 3rd. First was Ash Blossom. Then it was Halqifibrix. Now it's this. Why does this card exist? This card is so stupid. It should not have been printed.
What about Firewall Dragon?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. This is episode 4. Firewall was 2. Thank you. So yeah, Ash Blossom, then Firewall, then Halqifibrix, now this. So it's just like, what were they thinking? But it's a broken-ass boss monster, splashable into literally any deck, so you gotta run this card. If you want to win, you gotta play this card. That's basically it. This card wins games. There's a reason this card is limited, along with Red Eyes Fusion and Verte in the OCG. This card is a problem. Enough of me ranting about Dragoon. Cypher Lord Omega, because you can dump this into the graveyard with your Dogmatika stuff, and then you recur cards back from the grave. Verte Anaconda to dump the Red Eyes Fusion for the Dragoon. B-Cop, because it's the best Link 2 for Darks. And Salamangreat on Mirage. That's it for the extra deck. On to the side deck. 3 Ash, because it's Ash Blossom. 3 Phantasme, because it's Phantasme, and it's a big dark for the viruses, which we'll get to in a moment. 3 Call by the Grave in the side deck, because not every deck uses monster effects that, you know, really do stuff, but I figured I like Begone Demon Child, so might as well play it. Next up, 2 Deck Dev. This is for the Adamantipator matchup. Activate this after they get their stuff in their hand before they synchro summon. They're dead, all gone. Next, Epidemic Eradicator. Kills spells and traps. And then for the last card, we have 2 Typhoon. All right, so that's L.S.D. Dragoon's here. It should have never been printed. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys would take out or put in to add the extra stuff for the Red Eyes engine. So the 2 Wyverns and either another fusion and another insight. So remember to hit that bell down below for notifications. Wear your masks, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys later.